today's video, I am going to show you how to assemble Avajulis Craft pattern both in sequential form and in grid format like this. So let us begin. We are going to need something to measure with, something to stick the paper to itself, and also our pattern paper. Now if you notice, there are numbers on the pages on the top left corner. Those numbers will guide you in knowing how to organize the pattern pieces, and I recommend that you work with the numbers before you start cutting out the pattern pieces. So here we have rectangles that measure half an inch on both sides that you're supposed to tape together. So when you join them together, it is supposed to measure 1 inch by 1 inch. Okay, so first off, what I am going to do is that I am going to start with the sequential form. So here I've got page 16, 17 and 18, and I am going to tape them or assemble them together. And I also want to mention that there are test squares at the beginning and end of every pattern, and the test square measure 2 inches by 2 inches or 5 cm by 5 cm, so you are sure that you are on the right track. Okay, so now I am going to start taping. I am going to start folding. There is a line there. If you notice, there is a gray line. There's always a gray line on the pattern pieces. So I am going to start by folding the edge that I want to tape on top of the next page. Okay, so I know that some of us do cut out with a rotary cutter or a scissors, but I personally do not like to cut. I just like to fold on that line. The line is already there on the pattern pieces, so it serves as a guide. So if you want to cut, that is fine. If you want to fold, that is fine. I prefer to fold. Okay, but you make sure you're folding on that line. So this is done, nice and ready to go. I am going to repeat to the next page. Okay, so when you place your pattern or the paper on top of the non-folded edge, so it is the folded edge on top of the non-folded edge, you want to make sure that all the lines in the patterns align and the box measures 1 inch by 1 inch. Okay, now that I've got that done, I am going to start taping the pattern pieces. Okay, the pattern paper. So it is the folded edge on top of the non-folded edge. So in your situation, if you decided to cut, you are going to place the line, the pattern paper, the side that you've cut, on top of the other edge that you did not cut. So here you want to make sure that the square measures 1 inch by 1 inch, and you also want to watch and make sure that the pattern pieces, the lines from the pattern pieces align. The reason why I like to use packing tape is because it is wide. I find out that for most pattern pieces that I use the slimmer tapes, it comes off at the end of the day, but for packing tape it is wider and it holds better. But you can use glue, you don't necessarily have to use packing tape. Now that we've got one side done, I am going to repeat the same process to the other side. So again, the folded edge goes on top of the non-folded edge. So if you decide to cut, then the cut edge goes on top of the other edge that you did not cut. All right, now this process here gives us a long strip of pattern to work with. So after that, we can decide to cut it out if you want. So I am just cross-checking here. This is absolutely not necessary, but I'm just trying to prove a point, to prove it to you guys that it is supposed to measure 1 inch by 1 inch. And here it is, guys, our pattern piece is ready for us to cut out. So next we are going to move over to the grid form. For this particular style of pattern pieces, we are placing the pattern pieces in a tile format. So here we have page 10 and 11 in sequential form. This is the bottom of the pattern, and we have page 4 and 5, which is the top of the pattern. So it is page 4, 5, 10, 11, and we are going to tape them together in order to form one pattern piece. First off, I am going to start by folding one top edge because we have the top and the bottom. Now I am going to fold the top end of the bottom piece. Okay, so for the grid format, we have 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, left and right. Now this is the left hand side that I am working on right now, and I am going to tape the folded edge of the bottom piece onto the non-folded edge of the top piece. Now that this is done, I am going to keep this aside and I am going to work on the right hand side. Now for the right hand side, we are going to fold or cut the left edge for both the top and the bottom piece. But for the bottom piece, I am folding the left edge and the top end, okay, because I am going to tape the bottom piece to the top piece. So that is why for the bottom piece I am folding both the left hand side edge and the top edge. Now I am going to repeat the same process to this side. Now that I am done with that, it is time for me to tape the folded edge of the right hand side onto the non-folded edge of the left hand side in order to form one complete pattern piece. Now remember, the squares have to align and the pattern pieces too have to align. Okay, so now that this is done, I am going to simply tape. I am done taping and I am going to add additional tapes in order to hold everything down and make sure that nothing comes off. And there you have it, people. Your pattern pieces is ready to cut out and use. I hope that I have been able to do justice to the explanation. I hope now you know how to tape Avajulis Craft pattern in sequential form and in grid format. See you in our next tutorial.